Before I start this lesson, I'd like to give all praise and glory and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rukakodash. Double honor to the apostle, elders, and bishops, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Shalom to 144,000 men in this pitch get believe in this word and on true sincerity and sacrificing their lives on us to do so. Shalom to the men, women, and children that's tuning in and listening. And shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad on all four corners of the earth. The Heavenly Father named Yahweh. His only begotten Son named Yahweh Shai. And Lord, when this video is edifying, quick and straight to the point. This video right here will be entitled, "The Hatred of Our Enemies Are Still Present." And, concerning this, it ain't hit mainstream media or is getting brushed under the mainstream media. But recently you had a lynching in Georgia that that a lot of individuals been doing videos upon, and rightfully so. It ain't in the mainstream media because why? That causes uproar. These Edomites know, these elites know what they're doing when it comes to manipulating the masses. They pick and choose what to push out, and they also pick and choose what to put out there for propaganda purposes and whatnot. And we're seeing that now in today. We're seeing that as, these days are coming to an end quickly and closely, and I won't say slowly, quickly and closely. We're seeing that events like this are happening not just in these southern states, all over. These Edomites still have hatred for you Israelites. These other nations still have hatred for you Israelites, and these heathens are getting turned up. So how much more so on the right-hand side of righteousness? On the right-hand side of righteousness, that's interesting. But, it's coming to a time of where it's not going to be so friendly, fake, I don't want to say fictitious, but ultimately all these masks you have to put on, you ain't got to put a mask on no more. You ain't got to fake it no more. You can tell the hatred for these people. And it's funny how Jake like to say these heathens can be saved, but you still got Edomites lynching, and they never stopped it. It might go unknown, but that doesn't mean they stopped doing it. Just like a few months ago, you had that no Edomites in the this Jake was invited to a party. If y'all know, y'all know, but it was from Jake's. I forgot what is it in North Carolina? I forgot what southern state it was. It might even been in Virginia or something like that. But I definitely know it was a Jake that was invited to this little party, and they was some teenagers. He was the only Jake there. It was a party full of Edomites, and he was the only Jake there. And guess what? They got the picking on him, pushing him around, and then I forgot which machine that was, but they was pushing him into that machine to kill him. So you telling me that these Edomites still don't have that hatred? They're just ganging up on them, and we see that now in the same, lo and behold, what? These Edomites ganging up on Jake. They take you out back somewhere, and that's some slavery that you would think that stuff ended in slavery. No, they still do this. Now, obviously, it's not, I won't say so common because they still do it, but it's not so much talked about. It's not so much pushed. It's not so much showed. But these Edomites would do that, given if they didn't have to deal with the legal repercussions that they as they do now. I mean, now granted, a lot of them, some of these individuals don't, but they didn't have to deal with the legal repercussions or in jeopardizing what they have, they'd do it. That's how in these times, the Lord's going to put a standard upon his men, because why? Individuals like that are running around. And that's just on the lower level. How much more so the military? The military is coming for all heads, not just Israelites. They're one of the favorite targets, but they're coming for these Edomites that don't want the government ruling over there, so on and so forth. Sedition among men, but sedition among the people. So that's exactly what we're doing. But this is dealing with the hatred. This video I'm going to play real quick is dealing with the hatred that the Edomites have. So I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick. So
let me get this right. So a black man was found at Farrell's Park in Marietta, Georgia, yesterday morning. There haven't been no news coverage. 21-year-old Kyle Basinger, hope I'm saying that right, body was hanging from a tree along the walking trail. And not only that, y'all, this is the same college student that went missing on 11th of February. So he been missing about over a week. They don't know how long his body's been hanging, but they haven't let out no information. And guess fucking what? They already ruled it as no foul play. They trying to say that he did this to himself. But that's crazy because they haven't even released if he had any health issues or if he was on drugs, anything. And allegedly, police stated that they do have video of him entering the property alone. So that's why they feel he did this to himself. No, we need to see the cameras. Is there any cameras around there? Where's his people at? Nobody spoke up for him. Do he have family? If he was in college, I'm sure he probably have some family around. But it's sad, man. It's very sad. RIP, man. It's good, man. Hopefully you get your justice. Now I'm about to see if a lot of content creators run with this story. Or people in this world, on this planet, in this country, have that same energy. Let me go lynch myself. And he ain't in jail? Nah. People gonna overdose. They gonna pew-pew, whatever. Especially if you...
Okay, that's pretty much the end of that. But, in that video that I just played, now obviously, they obviously turn pieces together and put lies together and whatnot. But as an Israelite, you know the truth. Jakes know what's true and ain't true. You know for a fact that if an Israelite is going somewhere that is a predominantly white town, and you know for a simple fact that you could even feel the tension. A lot of Jake know what it's like to not be wanted. Israelites still have that fear of, damn, I shouldn't be in this place too long. Now obviously, and it's true, you would know where you're not wanted. And you tend to not, and it's true, you're supposed to not be in places you're not wanted because that invites trouble. I give a testimony. I was in a particular city in Michigan, delivering, and, I rode into the city, and, it was like, it was a situation where I'd never been to the city before, so you don't know the roads, you don't know exactly where. You just given the address, and there's certain places in situations like that, being being a deliverer or whatnot, you keep your head down, you be in and out, keep it pushing, but long story short, I was delivering this area, and it was a lot of Edomites looking at me. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to do what I got to do and leave and get out, get in, get out. So, as that little testimony is, being in situations situations and places you don't want to be at for a long period of time. Because Edomites, being in Edomite towns, especially in the South, it's certain things you just can't do. No, we up here, up north, certain laws are different from down south, the southern laws. But definitely down south, it's certain things you just can't do. Out west you can't do certain things. Out west you can't do certain things you would do over in the middle United States, or even the east coast of the United States. But anyway, long story short, that Jake was he got lynched. And they could say it was a supposed suicide, but what Israelite in a common right mind? Now, obviously, he was a younger Israelite. He's younger than me. But what Jake in their right mind would think of, I'm just going to... No, that's a lynching. Now, obviously, you can speculate, but at the end of the day, was Georgia one of the 13 original colonies, if I'm not mistaken? But either way, Georgia's known for this. Florida's known for this. South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maine, all of that. All of them 13 original colonies are known for these things. And, you can see the hatred that these Edomites have. You could look at them. And I went to an all-white school, so I would know. Every move you make, everything you do, they looking at you, staring at you. You cross the street, they glaring at you with their eyes, following you where you walk. Things like that. You could tell the hatred that they have towards you, and that hasn't gone away. Jake think just because y'all got some decent jobs, or y'all could dwell in certain areas where Edomites be at, they still had a hatred towards you. Just because you go to work, just because you can work with an Edomite and might get paid as much as an Edomite in some instances, or have a high position job, does not mean these Edomites don't hate you. If anything, you're more of a target in these situations like that, because why? Edomites naturally do not like Israelites, and that's just how it is in the scriptures. That's how the Heavenly Father set it up. Actually, I give that. I get it. So this is Malachi chapter 1, and I start at verse. I start at verse 2. I have loved you, saith the Lord Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? And the Lord Yahweh, and saith the Lord Yahweh, yet I love Jacob. And the Heavenly Father chose Jacob over Esau. Now, when you go back into the history, Esau did things that he should have did. Even going back to Cain, Cain sacrificed fruit, which obviously he shouldn't have sacrificed fruit. But that same type of spirit Cain had, Esau had. Cain slew Abel, and then after the flood and whatnot, now there's a reincarnation. Jacob being Abel, Cain being Esau. Cain having the same spirit as Esau. Esau wanted to slay his brother Jacob. And that's in Genesis 22 in the 44, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely in the 40s. Because why? Jacob was given a birthright and a blessing. And Esau sold for some lentils. So obviously, there's hatred there. But these Edomites are natural born enemies of you Israelites. So it's not too far-fetched to think, damn, that hatred didn't just go away after all these years. No. Since the beginning, it's just from Genesis all the way to now. So that hatred didn't go away. You have to think of that type of hatred. That's not no, we just enemies. No, that is just okay. Even a better example, in the Persian Mede captivity, you had Haman and Mordecai. Haman was of that line, of that Edomite bloodline, right? Mordecai is of Israelite descent. That enmity didn't go away. These Edomites have record of when Israelites had them in captivity. So how much more so now when it's Esau Edom's world, which is the so-called white man, which he's read, going back to Esau, but because they showed their pigment, they lack pigment, and their blood you can see it through their skin, which that was a curse on Cain. But anyway, verse 3. Actually, at verse 3, I have hated Esau and laid his mountains and herited his waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Verse 4, whereas Elam saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever. And it's written in what? Is that Exodus? The war with Amalek. Now, obviously, the Lord, had it to where these Edomites have dominion over certain things. Like they had dominion during the Greek and Roman time period. Even in the Persian and Medes, they had high positions of power. Now, they obviously wasn't ruling in that time, but Haman, he was getting good and chummy with the king. That's what Edomites do. They like to work their way up into that power seat, slime their way in there. Ah, damn. What is that? It's in Exodus somewhere. Yep, okay. It's Exodus, not 16, it was 17. So this is Exodus chapter 17 and verse 16. For he saith, because the Lord Yahweh hath sworn that the Lord will will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So that's has not gone away. The Lord have beef with Edomites. So how much more so the Lord's chosen people? The Lord have given us. You got to think during the time of the Greeks, right? The Maccabee brothers. Who was their main opposition? Edomites. Now, obviously, the other nations was around the Maccabees, but who? Okay, 70 A.D. Who was our main enemy? The Romans, the Maccabees, the Greeks. This isn't nothing that's just make believe and come out of thin air. The so-called white man, Esau Edom, has a hatred for Israelites, and it stands back all the way to Genesis. So why is it so far? Why you would think after all this time of coexisting with these Edomites, they will undermine you any chance they are given. Now personal testimony again. You will even lose your job due to Edomite not liking you. That's why, you got to be careful of what you do, what you say. But at the end of the day, it's all up to the Lord anyway. These Edomites have high position in these jobs that will hire you and fire you. Things like that. Now, obviously, I'm not pushing to just quit a job and just get fired from a job. I'm not saying that. But I'm just giving you an example. Today in age, right? Today's age. Now, these Edomites have, like I said, they have high positions. They're owners of things. They high up in companies, things like that. And they just look at you as just another plaything. So how much more? So why do you think this hatred is still here? Because why? These Edomites are our natural born enemies. You go to Numbers when we was you go to Numbers, right? We were trying to just pass through the land of Esau, right? Right. And Moses like, hey, like, y'all don't touch nothing. None of that. Y'all don't even look at him funny. You would think, oh, well, he's our brother. He's, Jacob and Esau are related brothers, right? No. Actually, what's that? Number 30, is it? Damn. But either way, when we was in the wilderness, right? You would think, oh, well, they had, let us through. No. They didn't. And even during the time of the Babylonians, right? There's accounts of Edomites. That's in Ezra 4. So all of these examples I'm giving is just to further back up the point that these Edomites do not like you Israelites. It's not far-fetched. A lot of the reasons of why Jake have trouble is due to the Edomite in some way, shape, or form. For example, right? We go to Revelation. Right, or even before Revelations. Actually, I got Revelation 6, because Revelation 6 explains a lot of that too. It's Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4. And there went on another another horse that was red, which is Esau Edom. So, actually, no, let me read. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there were given unto him a great sword. And this red horse is Esau Edom. It's no coincidence that this horse is red. Now, obviously, this dealing with also, Esau going around in the earth, causing issues like destabilizing economies, deforestation, taking what's the word I want to use? Not elements, taking resources from nations. But in the midst of that, he's also these Edomites have grown a rep sheet for being the most vile and heinous individual in the planet Earth. That's what Cain did. So why is it that anytime Edomites go around, even other Edomites hate other Edomites? You got Russian Edomites and American Edomites. But either way, Edomites are Edomites regardless. But it goes to show that these Edomites are the natural-born enemies of the Israelites. Just like I gave the example of Haman and Mordecai. Actually, what's the Agag? Let me see. Oh, that's in Esther. Oh, yep. Yep, this is Esther chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did the king Ahasuerus, which is Xerxes, promote Haman the son of Hamathia, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So yeah, these Edomites have high positions. You know, they work their way up to the king level so they could rule and do what they do. This isn't a coincidence, right? So, you know, verse 2, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said to Mordecai, Why transgresseth thou the king's commandment? Now, obviously, when you get a backstory, you know, this is dealing with, now Esther gets introduced into the story, but this is dealing with another exile because of the simple fact, you know, Israelites was always being oppressed by the other nations. So now these other nations, and we ain't letting you Ishmaelites, Elamites, damn sure Canaanites, we ain't letting y'all slide off the hook. Just because we dealing with Edomites, even other nations hate Edomites. But they team up with the Edomite, which is in Psalms 83. They team up with the Edomites to take out the Israelites, which isn't a coincidence. Because why? Out of the children of Israel, all these other nations, do you have to think Israelites are outnumbered because of the simple fact that you got set a list of 17 nations. Right? You got Edomites all the way down to Moab, Ammon, and so on and so forth. You have all these other nations that hates Israelites, right? But and it's funny. These nations outnumber Israelites, but they take out their one enemy. They band together and take out their one enemy. It'd be, what's that saying? It's not even the saying. I seen it with my own eyes. Two dogs would be fighting and a cat walked by. And they'd jump up on it, gang up on a cat. Now, obviously, you know, cats and dogs, you know. But nonetheless, not Edomites, these nations will team up against Israelites. Team up against Edomites to take out Israelites. So this isn't just something that we just talk about and think. No, this is all about the Israelites' enemies, how we prevailed over our enemies, how to act toward dealing with our enemies. That's why you have Sirach. We have all of these examples of how to deal with our enemies, our forefathers overcoming their enemies. Not all of our forefathers fought in a way David did. We have other examples of that. You know, now we in today and age, you know, we as Israelites, we're in the land of our captivity, so we're not going to come up against our enemy physically. But the Lord is going to do the work for us. So we give the Lord his due and props. But anyway, you know, this Esther, right, shows that I forgot about this. This is Esther chapter 3, and I start at verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hamathia, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. So this goes to show, and then when you even go back, Saul didn't kill all the Edomites, Agagites. So what? Through that line, through that king that Saul didn't kill, Haman came out of that lineage. And now he's coming down to oppress the Israelites yet again. So now we're dealing with this. This is in Esther. So you go to Samuel, what's that? First or second? So it was in one of the Samuels. But this goes to show that these Edomites remember all the times that we were on top, all the times that we had rulership. And guess what? No, Edomites was messing with us first. Edomites was messing with us first, so therefore we're going to finish it. So I'm going to grab this in Psalms 83 because I mentioned it. This is Psalms 83, and I'll start at verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they hate thee, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. So what? They made a ploy or a plot to what? Take out the children of Israel. That's why they have summits. That's why they had these meetings and summits and whatnot. They quite literally have you hate your enemies so much. You have a meet. How we gonna fuck them up even more? How we, stuff like that. They will literally have a meeting saying, okay, they are a problem, so how we deal with this problem? And every single time, it does not fail. This is exactly what they do. And we're living it out again. So what? Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, which they literally try to do. Why you think when the Spaniards came over here and the other conquistadors, they quite literally try to put so much hell on all of the 12 tribes? They damn near extinct Gad. Have them in reservations. Had Reuben, right? We just talk about the northern kingdom. We didn't even get the southern kingdom yet. They had Gad walk the trail of tears. And that wasn't, and I remember that because not remember like I was there, but I remember seeing the videos of that at school. Now I'm a younger brother. They don't, they probably don't teach that shit no more. But, not shit. They don't teach that in school no more. But when I first heard about that, he was like, damn, that's really how they got down? And these Edomites will get down like that. These Edomites gentrification. They'll come into your city, come into your block, make everything high and unexpensive for Jake to push them out and rebuild the whole area and have Edomites live there. This is how they get down. This is how they do shit. Now, they don't do things like how they used to in the sense of, oh, we just gonna come up against them with guns. They don't have to do that no more. They could pass bills. They could, in this article, section 8, letter A, article 8, section A, third paragraph, they'll do things like that. They'll pass laws like this to make it harder for Israelites to even coexist. So this is why Jake is pushed into ghettos. This is why Jake are pushed into... You don't see no Israelites in suburbs like that. Because why? These are what these Edomites do. They like to take over the best plots of land and have no Israelites in it. But anyway, this is verse 4 again. They have said, come and let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. And this is exactly what they do. They come together, right? They come together, have these meetings to, okay, how can we get the Israelites to keep going off? And it's funny because Edom does this. He's notorious for this. We had, back then Jake had, Southern Kingdom had, the Black Panther movies, but what? 70s, 80s, 90s, drugs, party, bullshit. They push drugs and guns in the community, play certain music at certain frequencies to get Jake to go off, Southern Kingdom to go off. You kick the Seminole Indians and the Tainos and all of these other tribes, and the northern tribes, right? The Northern Kingdom Israelites, and you push them out their land, kick them out their land. So now they got to live in some other uncharted territory that they don't even know. Things like that. Y'all did Esau. This is why Esau pushes that, all nations can be saved when they can't, because of to make you Israelites forget the shit that they did. And the shit that they did is foul. So therefore, when the Lord comes back, he's going to do a lot of bloodshed. Righteous bloodshed on top of that. But anyway, this is back in Psalms chapter 83 verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent, that they all confederate against thee. They're confederate against what? The nation of Israel. They all come together. Okay, we all agree that this is how we're going to take them out. And they help at every single turn and way. Right? So, this is verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom. Right? Esau, Edom. The Edomites. The Ishmaelites. And Moabites. And the Hagarenes. Philistines. Jebal, Ammon, Amalek, and Amalek. Amalek, the head tribe of Edom, back in Genesis. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur. So you got the Assyrians, you got the Assyrians and the Assyrians, right? You got the Elamites, the Assyrians, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites. You got all of these nations that are against the children of Israel. Ashur also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. So yeah, this goes to show that all these other nations will literally come against the children of Israel. And you Jakes think this shit is a game just because y'all got a job and got some money, or got a steady income and some money to go shopping, to go do these things. And these are the curses too as well, because we're a prey. Actually, that's it's not that. The Deuteronomy is the one I was thinking about. I'll grab this one though. I'll grab this one. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, which is, we always go to this. This ain't nothing new. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse I'll start, this is verse 65 and 66. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. So wherever we go, since the curses are upon us because we chose to broke the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father. The first one's idol worship, one of the big ones, right? Because we still see that in today. That's why idol worship is so fornication. Idol worship, that's spiritual adultery, right? So this is one of the big things. This is why exactly we're in the situation we are, because why? We chose to we could, even in the wilderness, when we was actually not even just the wilderness. Well, that's one example, but even before we was about to take the land, we had examples. What's that, Judges or Joshua? I forgot. But it was a man named Achan. I'm pretty sure it's Judges now I think about it. He, took idols of the Canaanites that we was going against, that we was beefing against. Stole Babylonia's garments, so on and so forth. These are the things that cause us to be in a lower state, because why? Jake don't like to let go of the shit that they don't need to hold on to. But anyway, that's a whole nother story that's a whole nother lesson. This is back in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh shall give thee a trembling heart, and falling of eyes and sorrow of mind. So what? Since we have these curses upon us, we will, no matter where we go, no matter what point or space in the earth we're at, we're not going to have ease. We can't escape the curses, but we're not going to have ease. We're not going to be able to relax. We can't just be like, we just going to kick back. No, we are not given that, because we are under the curses. Where whatever nation you blend in with, they're going to differentiate you and spot you out from the rest of them. This is why that's why another thing too, that's why a lot of lighter skinned Israelites, right, like Ephraim, for example, a lot of Northern Kingdom, they might come off as white. That's another thing. That's why Apostle Gabar pushes that all Israelites are not going to look like John Shaft. Now that's a saying, but either way, this is why, and this is how you're Israelite, because you get treated differently. For example, like I said, this is why just because your mom's an Edomite and your dad's light skinned and your mom's an Edomite, you might come out looking all white. But what? That spirit of being an Israelite is upon you, which means you're most likely an Israelite. And the heathens will identify that and treat you differently. Now some brothers are darker than others, but either way, this is really for the northern kingdom as well, because regardless of where you go, regardless of how light your skin is, regardless of how much mingling Jake does, it always come back to show you, now what? You are Israelite, and you can't escape that. And that's another thing. Jake be trying to escape the curses, and you can't escape the curses. This is why Israelites like to sell out. This is why Jake like to do the shit that they do to escape them, and you can't. But anyway, this is verse 65 now. Thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. So yeah, we deal with this in slavery, but we even deal with this now to a degree. You don't know if you're going to be employed one day. You don't know if you're going to have a job the next week. Even in slavery, this is one of the big things. You didn't know if you was going to live to make it another day. Here in Babylon, you don't even know if you're going to be here to make it another day. This is why it's important as an Israelite to know what you're dealing with, because of the simple fact that you don't know if you're going to be alive the next day. This is why you obviously give the Lord his time and just do. Because you don't know what the Lord could do. You don't know what these heathens could do to you to get you out of there. That's why it's so important. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead. Since I grabbed that, I'm going to grab this Micah too. I'm not going to make this long. This is getting long. I'm going to make, I went on 30-minute mark. Salakia. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. I'm going to grab that and close out. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. And obviously, this is applied to us now, because a lot of Jake, just because you might get a high paying job, just because you might have some possessions, doesn't mean you are excluded from these curses. Because those possessions can get you caught up in some stuff that you didn't think you'd be caught up in. And this is a part of the hell you catch. Because why? Just because you got a job, just because you got a nice car and a nice house, doesn't mean you can't lose any of that. So knowing that your enemies are against you, knowing that the Lord has it to where these enemies are against you right now, how you should conduct yourself. But Lord, when this video edifying, I'm going to go ahead and close out by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakakodash. The Lord, when this video edifying, and on to the next one. Shalom.